What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, and welcome to Lactic Acid. I'm your host, Dominique Smith. Today, I am super pumped. This is my first shoe company, gear company, track and field gear company that I have on the show. It is owned by three brothers. It is like Sly and the Family Stone when they saying it is a family affair. They are doing big things in the sport of track and field, helping to elevate the sport. And one of the owners is here with me today, Mr. Brant Bastings of Bell Lap Track and Field Gear. How are you doing, brother? I appreciate you coming on the show and chatting with me today.
Yeah, it's awesome. Doing awesome. Cannot complain, man.
Well, I am glad to hear that because, as the old people say, nobody cares anyway. Uh, that's the answer to complaining because nobody cares. But that's neither here nor there. What we do need to get into are the hard-hitting facts. So usually I ask, the summer is pretty much almost over. Fall kicks off about from the time this airs, I want to say maybe a week and a half. Fall will kick off. So let's transition to the fall. The summer's gone. It's still hot, specifically here in Florida. So, we don't do seasons. We do time periods. Let's say Food Network and Yankee Candle came to you. Said, Brant, you and the boys are just doing incredible things. You guys have killed it all summer long. Now we are transitioning to the fall, and we want to create a promotion centered around you all and your awesomeness. So Yankee Candle comes along and they say, you know what? Everybody buys candles. This is a perfect way to promote you guys and the great things that you do. I want you to tell me the flavor, or the better yet, the scent of the candle that you would want Yankee Candle to make. And Food Network wants to make a custom fall show. A custom fall show. It could be cooking, it could be baking. What do you want that to be centered around? And what would you call the show and the candle?
So the candle, we're gonna have to go with new shoe smell because like any of the
Oh,
sneakerheads out there, everybody grabs their shoes. They just got that smell to them. Doesn't matter what brand it is, they all got that new shoe smell.
okay. I like that. I
So we're
like
going
that.
with that. Probably a baking show because I think it'd be hilarious to bring on like just some pros and just see who's got some skills because we all know that the most of the athletes are making their own meals. I don't think any of them have personal chefs. Even the big boys making more money than others. I don't think they have personal chefs. So it'd be fun to see like some teams go head to head. I'd love to see Bowerman
Oh,
and Tin Man Elite go at it in the kitchen, or Team Boss and Tin Man Elite, because you got the Boulder battle right there. So
wow. That would be that'd be epic. Got the Union Track Club versus,
probably do Bowerman because they're both in Portland, right?
and they're all friends, but like maybe the Minnesota Distance Elite Club versus like New Gen Track and Field, or
Yeah.
uh
You could
something
do like Hanson's versus New Gen because like old guard, new guard, like
oh, that would not that would not go well. Or like Brooks, because they have a steady running group. That would be interesting. And so you would be the judge of that. And so what would you look for in a show? What's the criteria?
dude, it's gotta be taste, right? It's always if it's like it's gotta be taste. It can look good, but if it doesn't taste good, I don't want to eat it.
No, 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 no. But it's like, some baking shows are just about appearance, like what looks the best. But like, would you want it like cakes, cookies, cupcakes,
Uh,
or it doesn't
I'm
matter?
doesn't matter. I'm baking. There's got to be a time aspect because they're all runners, right? So there's got to
Oh
be
yeah.
like they got to run to the store to get whatever they need, and the store's a mile away or whatever.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that because I like that a lot. You have to go to the store. You don't have the pantry like they have at Food Network. You have to go to the store. I love that. So what would it be called? So let me just say this about the new shoe smell. The two things that are glorious, three things that are glorious, is just the smell of the holiday season. And that's whether you go to Target, Walmart, Home Goods, doesn't matter. It's just it's a different vibe. The new shoe smell and the new car smell. Those three, there's nothing like it at all.
Nothing.
But what are you calling the baking show and what are you calling the candle? And you can call it the same thing if you want to.
Hey, the new shoe smell has got to be what it is for the
I
candle. I
like
feel
that.
like it's super descriptive. Like everybody knows it. It's hard to explain what that smell is, but everybody knows it when they smell it. Um, uh, man, for the name of the show, we got to do like miles to perfection, and you got to run like a mile to get your. We talked about like instead of having the pantry, they got to run like the store's at least a mile away. So to get it perfect, it's miles to perfection.
I can dig that. In my head, I'm trying to figure out like you buy all these groceries. So they're gonna have to push a car, they're gonna have to run with a cart
Right?
all the way back. Okay. That is like that would be the equivalent of Iron Chef, but the runners, the cooking runners edition. I like that. This is my first time asking that question, so I think I'm going to stick with it. I like those answers.
You've
Food Network.
interviewed you've
Go ahead.
interviewed a bunch of people. Who do you think would be like the best at that?
The Iron Chef.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's a fantastic question. Sinclair Johnson is very competitive, and so I would put her in there. I would put. That's tough. I gotta sit there. I gotta think about that. I have to think about that. I'm gonna give you that answer at the end of the show if I remember.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Ask me that at the end of the show because that is such a great question. Very few times somebody comes on my show and I get stumped. Anna Aurora would be really good. Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. Ask me that at the end of the show. Ask me that at the end of the show because that's a great question that I have to think about. But anyway, moving on. You have three brothers, and the three of you are doing something incredible with Bell Lap Track and Field. I'm sorry, Bell Lap Track and Field gear. So, in your own words, I don't want to put words in your mouth about the company and this, that, and the other. Kind of gives the fans a glimpse about what it is that you do and the purpose of what you all do.
Yeah, so it's great because what we do is everybody that's listening to the show probably knows track and field athletes, they don't get paid very well, especially the field athletes. I feel like they get even less love,
It's bad.
but they do get those that are lucky enough to get sponsored get a lot of gear. And so what we do is we ask the pros like if you have any extra gear that you're not using, send it our way. We'll photograph it, put it on the website, sell it, ship it out to the buyers, and then give you all the money back minus the shipping charges. So it sounds like too good to be true, but this is just our way of giving back to the running community because it's a sport we love and we think that they're underpaid. And this is a way that we can get them a couple extra dollars in their pocket for something that they were either going to donate to Goodwill or give away or just let sit in a closet.
From a financial aspect, how do you all, you know, obviously outside of shipping, but there's a lot of cost value when it comes to packing and all that stuff. So how do you guys, make a good enough profit, if you don't mind me asking, for
Yeah.
you to continue to do this and be in business?
It's funny. We a lot of times at the end of the year we end up losing money, but
Mm.
we've done the math that we charge them for the shipping, and then there's an additional fee for credit cards and shipping supplies. So the credit card fee is like 3%, and then shipping is 1% of the total sales. So that just ensures that we don't have a ton of money out of pocket, but most years we end up, losing a couple $100 or so, which it's just our way of like, hey, chalk it up to the game.
Yeah, I definitely understand that, and it's very admirable because you're willing to lose money for this greater cause to try to do what the sport should do, and that's to take care of the athletes. And so, how do you when you see that you're losing money and you say you chalk it up to the game, how do you keep from getting discouraged?
Dude,
Um,
you get a text message from one of the pros that says, I was able to pay rent this month, or hey, my car broke down, and if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to like pay to get it fixed. Those are the ones that you get those texts, or you get those calls, or whatever it is. It's really cool when they like write out like a thank you on the back of like a bib and send it to you. Those are the things that you're just like, I feel like I'm making a difference. So those keep you going. Cause there are times that you're, photographing stuff till 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to get it on the website. And you're like, what am I doing this for? I mean, we all have those thoughts, all of my brothers and I, but then you get that phone call or that text message and you're like, that's what it's for. Or you're out at USA's or where track meet or wherever, and you bump into somebody and they're like, hey, I really appreciate it. That's also really cool.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I love to hear that because it's so rare, not just in track and field, but just in the world today. So
That's one of the
this,
toughest
go ahead.
My fault. That's one of the toughest things is when I'm talking to a pro and I'm like, "Hey, yeah, I'll happy to help you out." They're like, "You don't want to cut?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "What's in it for you?" Nothing. They're a little skeptical at first until, we send them that first Venmo payment, and then they're all good from there.
I'd be skeptical too. I'm not even gonna lie to you because I have a motto. For the most part, there are certain things that have an exception to the rule, and your business is one of them. If it's too good to be true, then it probably is. But obviously, you guys, like I said, are the exception to the rule where that's concerned. So this started because one of your brothers wanted to pursue a professional career and found that he couldn't because of the financial aspect. And it led him to, I guess, talk with you all about really trying to make a difference so that people would not have to deal with the same things that he dealt with. Kind of talk to me about that process, how that came about, and how, the nitty gritty details of how this business came to life from that.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. So it started, I mean, broke 4 minutes in the mile, which is, an awesome accomplishment. And then went on and ran professionally, had a small contract. And at the end of his first year, he sat down and he's like, I made $12,000 was my total, like, for the entire year. That's like him working part-time at a running store, the bonuses, the
It's
everything, 12
crazy.
grand. And he's like, I cannot survive on this. So he had to walk away. And at Christmas, we were sitting around with him and he's like, I have all this gear. We gotta do something with it. And I was like, let's sell it. So we put some of it on eBay, but eBay takes like 15, 20%. I'm like, we know enough runners. We could just sell this stuff online. Let's just start an Instagram account. So started an Instagram account, and just every Tuesday and every Friday, we would take pictures of what we were selling, put it online for the price. And then people would DM us and say, I'll take it. And we would take the payment over like Venmo. And so it got to the point like this was blowing up, and we were selling for his friends, my brother's friends that he ran with professionally, and their friends. And it got to the point where I'm like, I that we're getting too many DMs. Like, you post at 8 o'clock uh, Eastern time. and we would get 50 DMs by 8:05. And so we were like,
Wow.
we gotta take it to the web and make it easier for us. So
Yeah.
that's when we started our online website. So
Wow. So you kind of came up with the idea. Um, $12,000, man. That is like I don't even have the words. Um, to that is pathetic
yeah,
when it comes to this sport. That is, it's not sad, it's pathetic. So 50 DMs turns into a website. And so now, did you ever envision that a conversation at Christmas would lead to this?
no, I never thought that we'd be, you know, selling for all these pros and getting text messages from all these awesome people, like men, women, field events, track events, all of it, getting texts
Crazy.
out of the blue, like, hey, can you help me out? That's what it's all about. But I would have never guessed. I thought it was just going to be, you know, a couple of years, like my brother and like his buddies. And then once they're done running, once they hang up the spikes, like it'll kind of like shut down. But now, I mean, last year we sent to like 25 or 30 different countries, and we
Oof,
sent to every state
wow.
but two. So there were only two states that we didn't send anything to, which is awesome. It's hoping to hit all 50 this year. We already got, you know, a couple of the hard ones checked off. Wyoming was the one that was took us a while to get. We don't have any Hawaii this year, so if there's any Hawaii listeners, like I'll hook you up
Yeah,
with the deal if we can check that off. So send me a DM. We'll hook it up.
seriously. Do you ever sell to like Alaska?
Yeah, we actually have one person in Alaska that's bought several things from us. It's kind of awesome. Occasionally I'll throw in something extra just because I'm like, that's so cool. Like I can't imagine trying to train through the winter there when you get 1 hour of sunlight or whatever.
I was about to say that, but isn't the sun, like the sun doesn't go down in Alaska?
In the summers, it's like up all the time. I think they get like
Oh,
23 hours of sunlight during the summer and like 23 hours of darkness during the winter.
that's so stupid. Like,
I know.
how do you sleep in the summer? Like,
I'm guessing just blackout like curtains.
you have to, like, those are probably a hit in Alaska. Oh gosh, I have hiccups now. Um, that's crazy. So, are the items that you sell to, excuse me, to the people in Alaska, are they long sleeve items or do they ever buy short sleeve stuff?
I don't remember what they bought, to be honest, off the top of my head. But yeah,
If
I mean,
somebody from Alaska buys something short sleeve, then they are a legit polar bear. Um, I
yeah,
can't imagine.
the prices too are the other thing that astounds me. Like from like when we first started, you're kind of just guessing because it's not like the singlet that um, you know, somebody sponsored by Adidas is wearing are readily available to the public. So
Yeah,
you don't really know what the value is. The value is whatever somebody is willing to pay. So I'm a data analyst during the day, so we've kept track of like every sale we've ever had and like
wow.
who it sold to and for what amount and what it was. So we've got all this historical data, and we know trends like when like the downtimes are and when a brand new like item comes out, like the new singlet that somebody's wearing, that's like when it's the most expensive, obviously. And then we see the price kind of decrease. And then for whatever reason, like a year later, they jump a little bit. I don't know why, but like we just see it like drop and then jump and then go back down.
Could it be like the track and field climate? Like maybe they spike up during the world championships or during USAs or during NCAAs, and then they kind of drop. Or when somebody, runs a massive PR or pops off at a Diamond League meet or something like that. Could it
We
be
see it a
according
lot of
to? Go
we
ahead. Go
see it
ahead.
a lot of times. It goes like it'll drop after Christmas for obvious reasons,
Right.
and then it'll pop back up around the time of like when indoor really gets going. So like the lull period is like January, February, and like March, but like into March it starts to go up again. So like those 3 months are like the slow months for us.
How awesome is it to have such connections with all these athletes?
It's really cool. The most cool thing is like when you're sitting in a stands at a meet and like you like wave at like somebody and they walk up to you and have a like a genuine conversation, or you see them walking around afterwards and they're like, let me buy you a beer. Like
Wow.
that's kind of cool. Um yeah, that's really cool actually.
That would be, I don't say fan dude. I don't, that's not even a word. I was gonna say fan duding, but that would be epic.
Yeah.
Especially
I mean,
like they recognize you. Yeah.
how often do you get to like meet whoever like your favorite athlete is? Like in other sports it doesn't happen. Like I'll never meet LeBron. He's not necessarily like my favorite, but I'll never meet him. Like I was just trying to think of somebody like super famous.
Well, if you went, I'm an Ohio State football fan, and if you went to the Ohio State football game last week, you would have met him, Jason Tatum, and all these other people, which was just insane. I didn't even know they liked Ohio State football like that. Which is to say, there's a very, 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 very low key chance it will happen. But I feel like track, I feel like maybe even sports like swimming and I don't know, maybe it's the non-football, basketball, baseball, sports, athletes are a little bit more accessible, um, which is a great thing, I think, because you
Absolutely.
build a deeper connection. It's just a matter of, can you take that next step to market that accessibility, to gain traction and to gain fans and to gain, everything that you need to be successful. Um,
That's
but I
where I
want to,
think I think jumping has the ability to like take it to the next level. Like the jumping events, long jump, triple jump. I want some hot mics down there. Those guys are hilarious. They talk so much smack, guys and
oh yeah.
girls. They talk so much smack. It's so awesome. So I love being like close to the jumping where you get to hear that. And that's something a lot of the fans miss out on. I think, hot mics down there and have like a specific feed for those jumpers.
The problem is when you look at the jumps, you look at the field events in total. I'm a sucker for shot put and discus because that's what I threw in high school and I got a chance to coach it for a little bit. So I always love my throws. The jumps are way harder than people give them credit for. But the problem is, if you watch TV, I was talking with somebody, my recent interview, um, Maggie Malone Harden, and we joked about it. I said, she's a javelin thrower, and I said, I'll keep it real with you. When they showed the javelin, they showed the results of the competition. I got an opportunity to talk with uh, Jasmine Moore from the University of Florida, and I told her they showed the competition, and as the living God is my witness, I thought she was losing because of how they didn't show the competition. They showed highlights, but how they described it, I thought she was losing. Turns out she was whooping everybody. Like, and it wasn't even close. So to your point, I would love to see hot mics. I would love to see Will Clay and all these guys, mic'd up. Oh boy, his name.
Dude,
Christian
Chris,
Taylor, Marquise
Marquise
Dendy,
Dendy.
uh um
The Christian Taylor story is crazy. Switches lead legs because he was having like he switched jumping legs. That is wild to me. And he's came back from like all these injuries. Oh my gosh, Christian Taylor is one person like I respect more than anyone else. It's
and
crazy,
I
man.
I hope he breaks the world record. I hope he gets back to full form and
Same.
can really contest for that world record.
Is he
But
from? I know he jumped at Florida, but is he from Florida too? I can't remember.
I
He's
want to
been
say,
around for so long. I just associate him with Florida.
let me check. I want to say no off the top of my head.
I thought he wasn't either, but like I always associate him with Florida because he's got like his spikes are always crazy.
He's from Georgia.
Okay.
So he is from the great state, from the Peach State, Georgia. But they don't promote field events like they should.
They've done a really good job of shot put lately. I feel like it's become more of a premiere. The 2019 head to head with like Krauser and Kovacs and was it Walsh? I think it was
Yeah,
Walsh.
Tom Walsh from New Zealand.
Dude, that was every single one upped each other. That was the best shot put competition.
But is the shot put? So, for example, at the pre-classic, they did a 2-minute lead up, 2 to 3 minute lead up at the end of the meet for the men's 100. Shot put doesn't get that same love. So as much, and here's the thing, Kovacs and Joe, he just won the Diamond League, and
Dude,
he is
killed it.
killing it. And if I cannot wait for that matchup next year between he and Ryan. And then you can't dismiss Tom, as well, but like that should have got more notoriety. That should have got more attention marketing wise. You got to put as much as you can behind it. Valerie Allman in the discus,
She's a stud, absolute stud.
there's so when that discus comes off of her hand, it's like, I don't say it's magical, and maybe I see it from a different perspective having thrown it, but you look at how she throws the discus compares to how her counterparts throw the discus. It's so smooth. It's smooth and power that comes through it. So it's the promotion or lack thereof, man. It's astonishing because these events are so hard, but the problem is they just don't bring in the money that the marathon brings in, that the
But
100,
could
the
they
200.
if we highlighted them? I'm convinced that if you took, because here's the difference between the marathon and the 800 and the 1500. Every single meet, Krauser's thrown. Every single meet, Kovacs is thrown. Every single meet, Clay is jumping. Dendy's jumping. You don't get these people dodging each other like you do in other events. So if you made it like F1 Drive to Survive, where they follow these people throughout the entire season, they play up those. I mean, obviously they're going to play those up a little bit. I don't think Krauser and Kovacs actually have like hatred for each other, but you could
They
make it
don't.
look like that on TV. So, like, that's the kind of stuff that you could play up if you wanted to. How about I want
They
to see Kovacs when he was I saw his social media is a great follow when he's like bench pressing like 500 pounds 20 times.
That's just stupid. That's just it's not even that's just stupid. I no. Yeah, that's
His
just
wife's
crazy.
a good follow on social media. She
Yeah,
always has like,
Ashley.
Ashley's so funny. She's always like, we got 30 eggs yesterday, Joe. What happened to him? He's like, I'm a growing boy.
Yeah. And I'm really happy for them. I believe they're having twins.
Having twins,
Um,
yeah.
so maybe that's the next generation of big time throwers. Like you never know,
You
because
got to get Joe on this. You got to he's hilarious, man.
she's a great coach. I actually got a chance to ask Joe a question at the Prefontaine. I was doing a press conference at Pre. Um, and he's from Pennsylvania. And obviously me being an Ohio State fan, and I was working for an Ohio State company covering football recruiting. When I got a chance to ask him, I was like, was it like, being a Penn State fan in Buckeye country and stuff like that? And he gave this he laughed and he gave this detailed answer. And I think he mentioned about burning some kind of gear or something like that. So nobody would say anything. So, but they have such great personalities, man. And, to your point, I do agree they could get the marketing value that they deserve. But the problem is you have to have people who, first of all, there's such a cap, there's such restrictions. For example, I cannot for if we were just doing a live stream, I can't go back because this was suggested to me. How about you commentate? And you pull it up on your feed and then you commentate on it and you bring, energy, a creativity, a laughter. Well, if you live stream something, even in the slightest, I don't know how, USATF is who they have monitoring everything, but you can't even do an Instagram live during a meet. It's capped off. So I think in order for the marketing aspect to really come into play with these events, there has to be respect from the top. And I do not, and I'm not saying USA Track and Field is this god awful organization. Everybody there sucks. I'm not saying that because I'm sure there's some awesome people who work for USA Track and Field. And I know there's some, amazing people who work in that organization that the athletes really respect and they do an incredible job. But it's like this is a football analogy. If you watch football in the late 80s, early 90s, they had those big Reebok shoes on that were like Timberland boots. And so it's like we're trying to chase Tyreek Hill in those big Reeboks and Timberland boots. And we're just so stuck, in the past that we are kind of messing up the future and messing it up for everybody.
First thing they got to do is they got to get rid of the restrictions on right now. You can only have your logo on gear if you're either an apparel / shoe company or if you're a track club. Well, I'm going to use Amazon and Brooks Beast. Brooks Beast are based in Seattle. Amazon's based in Seattle. Why can't Amazon donate $1 million to the Brooks Beast and their singlet say Amazon down the back?
I agree.
We can't do that. It's against the rules. Well, why? That's a dumb rule. It should be like NASCAR. I should be able to sell whatever sponsorship I want.
It's not even
Lactic Acid sponsoring some biscuits.
Well, let's put it this way: somebody will have to pay me to sponsor something. But no, it's every other sport's doing it. The NBA, you go to an NBA game, I'm a fan of the Orlando Magic. They have a big old Disney logo.
They probably have a couple others on their alternate jersey, a different logo. So each jersey's got a different alternate sponsor.
Who else? Football started. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Boston,
Celtics have GE. Boston. They got GE on one. I'm moved from Chicago, so I know the Bulls got 3 different sponsors on theirs, depending on which jersey they wear.
The Lakers have a sponsor. Looking in college football, I looked on when I was watching the Ohio State Notre Dame game. They have Safe Flight. I believe it's Safe Flight. And they didn't put it on the jerseys, but it's on the field. It's on the turf. So we're far behind in the sport.
We are. And it really comes down, everybody says we need more money, but then we want to restrict the players of the money or the people that can pay the money. We're trying to restrict them. And it's kind of antiquated at this point.
Money is we do need more, but there has to be effort and there has to be a desire to push the sport forward. Maybe you and I should run for the president of track and field and
hey, it's just right down the street here. I see Max Siegel at the gym all the time. Hey. There's time, believe me, I've thought about being like, yo, Max, give me a week and we'll change this.
Dude, you should need to be going, Max, buy some of this gear, man, and everything. That's what I would do. Let's get USA Track and Field behind Bell Lap Track and Field gear. So switching gears for a second.
Yeah.
So tell me about the dynamic of brothers. There's 3 of you. Where's your ranking? Are you the oldest, youngest, middle?
I'm the oldest. I'm the guy that I'm pretty social. Obviously, you can tell. I'm the guy that's out there talking to the pros, trying to get them to trust us, obviously. So I'm the one making those connections, keeping those connections going. And then the middle brother, he's the money guy. I joke if I'm the chief marketing officer, he's the chief financial officer. So he's the guy that when pros are getting like money sent to them, he's the guy that's pressing the buttons and sending it to him. He keeps track of like how much we owe each pro. So he does a really good job, super detail oriented. And then the youngest brother, very marketing driven. So he, comes up with a bunch of ideas on what we need to do. We did like for March Madness or March, I guess we can't say March Madness. It's copywritten by NCAA, but in March, we did a bracket of like the best jerseys we've ever sold, like what people thought the coolest ones were. And we've done spikes before. So those are all interesting and fun. So those are the types of ideas that he comes up with. He's a little more, free spirit, typical youngest, right? Stereotypical. And he was the pro. So he also like has insight on like, hey, this person just got dropped, reach out to them, or they just got signed, reach out to them. So
what was the dynamic between the three of you like growing up?
So the middle brother and I are 1 year apart. Okay. So we ran together, grew up together. And then the youngest brother, he's 4 years younger than me. So like when I'm a senior in high school, he was in 8th grade. So like I didn't really, who he is and you're around, but you don't have the same relationship as like we played basketball together. We ran cross, we ran track, we played hockey, like all of those things like with my middle brother. So I had it's a different relationship. And then when I'm graduating college, he's going into college and I'm, starting in the workforce. So one of the things that luckily 4 years after I graduated, he was graduating and going to do his like post-collegiate running stuff. My middle brother and I were lucky enough that we could help support him financially. So we'd send him money from time to time to help him get through. 12, like you said, 12 grand's nothing, and he's going to need to get some from somewhere.
Well, it's really cool to see that you guys, have a tight knit bond. Who's the funniest of the three?
I would say probably the youngest. He's pretty funny. He's funny. Okay.
Who would you say is the best cook of the three?
I would say that I probably am. They'll probably fight me for it. But
what's the go-to dish? What's the signature dish?
I'm a sucker for like we grew up on a farm, so
okay.
Steak, potatoes, corn, and asparagus, like all on the grill. Like I want it all on the grill. And the secret to the asparagus is you want to put a little bit of olive oil, some garlic salt, and then crushed red peppers because I want that. It's got to have a little bit of heat to it on the asparagus.
Oh man, see, I don't know about crushed red peppers, but I'm with you with everything else. So where are you guys originally from?
Yeah, Illinois, like smack dab in the middle of the state. So central Illinois. For those of you in Chicago, it's Southern Illinois because anything south of like the suburbs is Southern Illinois to people in Chicago.
What part of, because I have a friend who works for a company called Pheasants Forever or whatever the case might be.
Pheasants Forever.
And she's, she grew up in the country down here. People don't understand. Listen, Florida is not just Disney and beaches. Like that's why if you go to North Florida is essentially Kentucky or Tennessee or Alabama. It's straight country. I have origins from, Alabama and everything. So I do understand about the farm lifestyle and all of that stuff. But yeah, what part of Illinois?
Yeah. So where Illinois State is in Normal, Illinois, which sounds like a made up town, I know. But we grew up outside of Normal, Illinois. Went to Normal West High School, so we all ran there. Baby brother has a bunch of the records there. So
man, Normal, Illinois. That's a city.
That sounds made up, right? 100%.
Wow. Okay. Normal, Illinois.
But yeah, we grew up, had cows, chickens, horses,
I like that.
corn, beans. So
Gosh, so you know good food.
I at least know like the good meat. We ate a lot of meat growing up. Like I remember I went to college and I had no idea how much like steak costs or anything like that because it was just always in the freezer. So I just like go and pick
Yeah.
out something. I didn't really know like I remember calling my mom and being like, they want like $20 for a steak.
Listen, there's a reason I don't eat steak, but maybe once, twice a year. Because they tripping when it comes to some of these prices. What is the best cut of steak?
I'm a sucker for I like ribeye, but I think
Mm.
my brothers will say prime rib.
Prime rib is so hard to cook.
Oh, it is tough. It is
It
tough to cook because there's that fine line between like too much, like too well done. Like you want it like perfect, and it's really hard. And you got to
oh man,
season the outside and get that good crust.
it, prime rib, man. I've had prime rib once, and the one I had was I actually had it twice. The first one was actually pretty good, and then you have the au on the side, but man, mm, I've seen a lot of prime ribs messed up, and by seen, I didn't order it because prime rib is very expensive. Uh, but ribeye, I like ribeye on a cheesesteak. I don't know, it's too fatty for me.
Dude, that's where all the flavor is.
I agree, but that's why I like it on a cheesesteak.
Hey,
You
if you're
see,
ever in Illinois or Indiana, like let us know. Like we'll cook up some good steaks.
I got you. I got you. I like I mean, I do like a fillet because I'm good at seasoning stuff, so I can see, and there's not a lot of fat in it. So you have to make sure you season it very well. But I like sirloin.
Sirloin's a good one too, man.
Man, now I'm hungry and everything. So uh but yeah, I like it. It's expensive, man. It's very expensive. And the taste is different because on a farm, it's authentic taste, but so much is added um into these other meats that it's like, oh dang, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Um
it's interesting. Like we just always had it was either us or a cousin or somebody had like a cow that was going to go to slaughter, and so it was just that that's where your meat comes from. Never really thought about it coming anywhere else.
yes. Disclaimer, I want to say sorry to the vegan people who are listening to this. Um yeah. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. But no, that's it's so rare to see like family work together, families who work together. So, but you guys are
Don't
actually
get me
doing it.
wrong. Like I mean, we're your stereotypical brothers. Like we'll like I don't want to say argue, but like we'll get into it. Like, no, 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 man, you priced that too cheap. Like,
Oh,
remember
of
the last time we
course.
sold it for this? Or like, man, I can't believe like this happened or whatever. Like, we'll argue, but like at the end of the day, like I talk to my brothers daily, like
Yeah.
several times a day. I mean, we're not always calling each other, but text, DMs, like all the time. They're good people.
How competitive are the three of you?
Oh, very. We're gonna do the Chicago Marathon this year as brothers, and
Okay.
like I've been training so that I can whoop them,
Gosh, I can just imagine like whether there's marathons or fantasy football.
dude. It
Oh,
doesn't matter. It doesn't
oh,
matter what it is. And I was the oldest, so like I vividly remember like junior high, like I got a couple records in like the 400 meters. And then the very next year, like my brother wiped the seventh grade record out. And I was like, well, I got the eighth grade record now. The very next year, he wipes the eighth grade record out.
so
So
there's like a lot of pressure on you to like be great and
I don't know
everything.
about that. My parents were so cool about it. I don't know how they stayed so cool about it because we would, especially with my youngest brother, like he was really good at running, and they were just like, "Yeah, he's a good runner," but it wasn't like this hype up, like he's going to the Olympics or he's really good, he's going to win state. They just stayed very, very calm about it and didn't put any pressure on us. They didn't run, so they didn't really know much about running.
Yeah.
But they got into it when we got into it. And like my dad still volunteers at my high school now. He waited until we all graduated because he's like, I don't want to be up in your business. Um, but now he just like volunteers as something to do.
So you guys are like a low-key running family.
Yeah, for somebody that like we started running just to like get in shape for basketball.
So you guys were ballers too. Okay. So I see where
I,
the competitive
we're
comes in.
all under 6 foot, so we weren't really that big of ballers.
Hey, listen, some of the best point guards are under the 6 foot meter. So what is it about running that the three of you enjoyed that makes you so locked into it?
I think the easiest thing is like versus team sports or non-time sports, there's always this, oh well, who's better, Jordan or LeBron? There's no argument about who's the best 100-meter runner. Like it's Usain Bolt. He's got the fastest time. There's no arguing about like, oh, so and so's starting, and I think this person's better. No, man, clock don't lie.
Clock don't lie. I like that. Clock don't lie. It is. It's right there. It's right
Same
there. So
same thing. Like tape don't lie on the field events. Like it is what
tape
it
don't
is.
lie. Listen, tape. It's a little different in field events.
It is a little because they
A
like
little
might
different.
mismark it. Might
Yeah.
mismark it. Might stretch it a little more for certain people.
Yeah. So that I was about to. I've seen some stuff over the years, man. So it
I'm sure, especially as like high school, like the
oh my
pros, I feel like it
gosh,
doesn't happen as much. But like high school, I feel like the
man.
officials don't even know the rules for field events.
I had to officiate field events.
I believe
And
it, 100%.
I can't tell you how much I hated officiating field events because field events are so long. But the coaches, I felt fine when coaches, for the most veteran coaches, because there were a group of coaches that was their first time coaching field events. They were distance runners, but they needed somebody to jump into the field events, and they were messing up everything. And so I feel good about like if I'm doing it and if somebody else is doing it because but oh my goodness gracious, it's the worst. Like it brings back
What's the hardest one to officiate? Would it be like discus or
discus, and it's not even
shot? Is it
shot is
discus?
not hard because the shot put makes such a dent in the ground and you hear it. If it's on grass, it can get a little tricky, but for the most part, the shot put is not difficult to grasp, even though I've seen a lot of people mess up on it. As far as you know where to measure it and everything, and it's very clear cut. The javelin sticks into the ground, so that's not bad. The discus, the problem is the discus is you have to have
Like
great eye
skims the
discipline
ground, right?
because it skims the ground and stuff. So you have to have great eye discipline.
Dude, that's where I feel like on the broadcast, I want it to. I don't know if like you might be a little young. I'm 34, so like I'm a little bit older than you. But in the 90s, when Fox had NHL, they had a laser that would follow the puck around.
I've
And I'm
seen
like,
that.
if you threw the discus and it had that laser that followed it, or like in
It
football
would
where they show the trajectory, that would make it so much easier to understand.
it would solve a lot of problems. There's so many different things. Like I said, you kind of have to hope that the discus like takes a nosedive and sticks into the ground or makes a dent, enough in the grass that it brings up some dirt. But you have to have incredible eye discipline, and it gives you a headache. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It gives you a headache, but
Especially at the high school level, because you got some kids that are throwing it like 50 foot, and then you got other kids throwing it like 200 foot.
I think the problem with high school is there's so many doggone kids. Like, I've done heats where there's 60 kids, like in a meet, and it takes like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And it's just like to the point where you have to fight from not caring. Like, like somebody throws like the first heat's always the most entertaining because that's where you get the 150, 180, 200, 210. And then you got and then it goes 90, 80, 70, 60. And it's just like, it's all the same to me. Like, that's what you have to fight against it.
What about like Hammer? I'd never really paid attention to Hammer until this year.
We don't have Hammer in Florida when it comes to the high school level, but I can't imagine it's extremely difficult because, like I said, like the hammer is going straight into the ground. So it gives you a basis. What you do have to, and that's the thing about the hammer could be difficult, but the shot put to an extent. If you're doing a shot put in grass, it's harder than doing it in sand and gravel because you can rake it. You get a rake and then you smooth out the edges and everything like that. You can't do that on grass. You cannot do that on grass. So I can see if somebody throws at the same spot, you know, it could be difficult, but hammer is just hammer different. You got to be different to do hammer. All that spinning and everything like that. And the hammer is scary because if you release that super early, it's going to go into the net. But if you release it early, that's going into the track. So you better hope nobody's running or you're dead on sight. Like if you got hit with a hammer and those athletes with that much power behind it, yeah, it's like
those hammer guys are hilarious. We sponsored Alex Young this year, and Alex and this guy named Vlad, we went out to eat with them out in Eugene at USA's. Those guys are so funny. They need their own podcast. They are that funny. I would listen to them for hours.
The throwers, I'm telling you, man, there's some personality. There's some personality in those throwers that people don't understand. That's what I'm saying. We need to get behind them. We need to support them because they can help elevate the sport. Because some of those throwers, the hammer, the javelin, I've had a lot of javelin throwers, you know, on as of late. They're hilarious. Like they are hilarious.
I'm telling you, Alex Young and this dude Vlad, I can't remember Vlad's last name. I would pay to listen to them on your podcast. They're that funny.
Okay, well, I know who I'm reaching out to soon and very soon. So let's get ready to wrap this up with a bow. I asked you what brings you the most joy about what you do with Bell Lap track and field gear. Where do you see this going in the future? What's you guys is?
That's a good. We got like a little 5-10 year plan going on. The other part of our business is we do sell some merchandise with the Bell Lap logo, and that goes 100% back to the pros that we sponsor. Eric Sawinski is one of the guys. I know he's been on here before. Eric's a good dude, man. He's the man. But Eric, a guy named David Kadzera, he made the Olympics. That was so cool to watch. David and Annie Coons was another person we sponsored. They both made the Olympics. And I mean, we're a brand where we're not, I mean, we don't pay that much. We pay them like every time they go out there and compete with our logo, we pay them. And, you know, we give them bonuses and whatnot. But I'd love to expand that and pay them a little more. In a perfect world, again, we're talking like 5-10 year plan. I want to have like a van that we can set up mobile retail where we can drive to meets and be on site, and we can do a lot more customization because we do some custom gear for athletes, for specifically unsponsored athletes. If they want spikes, like we can cover up the logos or take off the logos of the companies that aren't paying them and put on just like write their name on the spikes. So we've done some customization. We did a pair of Harry Potter spikes for Eric, and like the very first meet out, like somebody stepped on him, ripped him all the way down the side.
That
so he
sucks.
I asked him, I said, what did you do with those? He's like, I still have them. I can't throw them away. They're too cool.
Oh, that's painful.
They're just like ripped down the side immediately. But yeah, so I'd love to do some more customization for people. You know, if they buy a Bell Lap item, or if they buy like a pro item and they want their name on it, or they want like they bought it at the, let's say, Chicago Marathon, and they want their marathon PB or whatever on it, like we can customize that on spot. So, I think the future of retail is mobile retail, like being able to set up wherever, follow around, go to where your customers are. Obviously, like the internet's not going away. We're not going to get rid of the website, but there's something to be said about like talking to the person buying your clothes. I mean, we get DMs all the time, but yeah, it'd be cool to like meet them and shake their hand and look them in the eye.
Tell me the names of your other two brothers. I should have asked that first. You're the
Yeah,
old.
I'm the oldest. I'm Brant. Reed's the middle one, like I said, kind of the CFO, and then Bryce is the youngest one. So Bryce is awesome. He's a good kid.
So, and for spelling purposes, because this will be written for
Yeah.
those listening, Bryce.
Yep. And Reed is Reid. So
Perfect.
l-
Perfect.
little different than, sometimes people spell it Reed. And then Brant is Brant.
So you said that people are a little skeptical because of the concept and how pure it is. What, and this will be the second to last question. What is the pitch to the people, the athletes, or just the general consumers who are listening and want to support? What's the message to them?
Yeah, the two different pitches, right? To the people that want to buy it, hey, we're going to have stuff that you can't get anywhere else. We'll also have some stuff that maybe you can get other places, but for a better price. And you know that the money is going back to the athlete. So it's a way to support the athlete. If I'm pitching you, um, I'm going to ask you, like, hey, I know I got your name from so and so. They said to reach out to you, that you might have some extra gear. What we do is you just send it to us. We photograph it. We put it on our website. We sell it, we ship it, and then we pay you for it. We don't take a cut. The only thing we take out are the credit card fees and then the shipping charges.
So to
And so
everybody
again,
listening, yeah, to everybody
sounds
listening, it's the real deal.
that's the thing we always get. I swear to you, every time it's after we send them the money, they're like, I was skeptical at first, but you had me. I don't know why I haven't done this more often.
Oh man. Here's my last question before we get to rapid fire. How do you want your brand to change the sport for the better?
I want our brand to increase the money that athletes get for the better. I think that I think that all the track athletes are underpaid, track and field. I think they're all underpaid. You can't tell me that somebody making the Olympics and only making $30,000 or so or less, some of them are unsponsored, is good for the sport. So I hope that everything that we're doing increases the amount that the pros get.
Well, like I said, Marvin Gaye sang it, ain't nothing like the real thing. And y'all, this is the real thing. So you have survived the interrogation process. So now we have to move on to the harder stuff. That is the last segment called Down the Home Stretch. I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions, and I want you to answer them to the best of your ability. If you do not, then it is okay. Everybody, just as long as you try your hardest, that's all we can ask for. So you are competing to be on the medal stand. Our gold medalists right now consist of Marley Stolliper, um, Maggie Malone Harden, and John Anderson. And I'm probably missing one other person. Kara Winger. She's the reigning gold medalist. So a lot of great field event athletes, and I'm sure I'm missing another person. I have to go back to see who I gave the gold medal to. But that's what you are competing for Bell Lap Track and Field gear. Are you ready?
Yes.
If there was a food that you had to live with and live without, what would they be?
With would probably be steak. Without would be uh, kale. I don't really like kale.
I agree with that. If it's not collard greens, then you have to throw it in the trash. I am with that 100%. If there was a superhero that you would use to describe your brand at Bell Lap Track and Field Gear, what superhero would you choose?
Oh, Robin Hood, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor.
Okay, all righty then. Who would you want to best? What athlete would you want to do a promotion around? Any athlete.
Um, it would be really cool to do one with Craig Angles.
That's very possible too. That would be a good one. That would be a good one. All righty. If there was a television series that came to you that said, we want to do a series on your journey, on your life, who would be the group of actors that you would wish to portray the three brothers characters? Your three characters.
Oh man. I don't know, man. That's tough. I forget, what are those guys, the brothers that are like from Boston? I know we're not from
Oh, the
Boston.
Wahlbergs.
The Wahlbergs, just because they're brothers. Like I think it'd be funny. You gotta like hire like somebody who's like brothers.
Dream vacation spot to take a vacation to.
I want to go back to Vancouver, Canada so bad. That was so much fun.
Why is that?
They have this park that's like downtown Vancouver, Stanley Park, and it's like a 10 or 12K loop, and it's right along the ocean and then like a seawall, and you're just running, and it's just a big loop. It's beautiful. The city's really clean. It's super diverse. A lot of international flair to it. I don't know. It was just so much fun to go visit. And I was there for 2 days, and I wish I would have stayed a week.
Deep dish, Neapolitan, or New York style pizza?
Oh, Chicago is deep dish all day long.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, Lou Malnati's, baby.
Have you ever been to Uno's?
Yeah,
How official is Uno's? I used to eat at Uno's all the time.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, I'm a sucker for Lou Malnati's, and you got to get the butter crust. So,
See, I just cannot bring myself to have deep dish pizza. All right, a couple more questions. If Food Network came to you and said you can be a guest star on any television show, what would it be?
uh, diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Triple D, Guy Fieri.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. All righty. Last couple of questions. Location, dream location to add a marathon to.
Vancouver.
The Vancouver Marathon. I'm not mad at it. I'm
Yeah,
not mad at
up
it.
against that seawall, that'd be so cool. That'd be an awesome. Like you get a drone flying alongside them, so they can see everything. It'd be
City
so
that
cool.
has the best food.
Um, I think Chicago's got really good food. I also, like I said, I lived there for 10 years, so I think it was very good food.
What is the one sporting event that had an incredible moment that you wish you could have been a fan attending or been in attendance for?
Um, it would have been really cool to see like the 96 Olympics with uh the double gold from Michael Johnson. That would have been really cool.
And they ran extra rounds then. So he was running
Yes.
like 8 rounds in total, which is just insane to me. Last question. Why does kindness matter to you?
It's everything, man. You gotta be kind.
Where you have survived down the home stretch. So, where this is the most important question you'll answer. Where can the people find you? Where can
On
they follow?
Instagram, Bell Lap Track and Field Gear, uh, online at belllaptrackandfieldgear.com, or if you just Google Bell Lap, we're the first result on Google, which is kind of sick.
And so if they want to place an order, can they do that via Instagram or does it have to be through the site?
Oh, you can do either. We respond to every single DM we get, even those spammy ones. Like I make sure that I respond to those because you just never know. So we respond to every single DM.
Well, listen, they have the consistency of a Waffle House, and that is what makes them great. Listen, man, I appreciate you stopping by. I apologize to the faithful who are listening because I still do have the hiccups and they are killing me right now, but we powered through it. So praise the Lord for that. You guys know where to find me. We talked about it prior to the show. I want to thank everybody for listening. Be sure to support Bell Lap Track and Field Gear because your money is going towards a good cause, and that is to elevate the sport and make it what it is, which is the best sport in all sports. And we will catch you next time.